Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 20th of July. Today we have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And today we are going to start with Odessa area. To be more precise, we are going to talk about 35th Marine Corps Brigade that located near Nikolaev. According to the report of Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation, this brigade was attacked by the Russians in the previous 24 hours, and as a result of that attack, the Ukrainians lost around 200 soldiers and around 10 armored vehicles. To tell the truth, this brigade is very important for the Ukrainians because, as we know, the Ukrainians are planning and are preparing their offensive operation in the south, and this brigade, the main goal of this brigade, they have just one main goal, main task, is to cross this river in Gulets, this one. And that's why the Russians are trying to reduce this brigade as much as possible, because we can say that this is the forces that are going to be always on the zero, and their main goal to start the offensive operation. And to be more precise, they're planning to attack not in the area that they're located, according to this map. According to the Russian intelligence, this brigade is stretched all along the front line, and the main idea, the main goal, is to cross this river in Guletsk, in the area between Arkhangelskaya, Velika Alexandrovka, David Brod, and Snigirivka, on this line. So the Ukrainians, if we're talking about their offensive operation, they are planning to start from the north, not like in front of Kherson, but the first step of their offensive operation is to establish control over this back. We will come to this operation in the end of this video. If we are talking about the Seversk, Bakhmut area, there was also another attack, and according to this attack, the Russians destroyed near Soledar, this one, the warehouse, the depot of the 14th Mechanized Brigade, and as a result of that attack, the Ukrainians lost around 40 soldiers and around 19 armored vehicles. If we take a look at the map of disposition exactly in this area, you won't be able to find this 14th Mechanized Brigade, because according to the map of disposition, their main location is near Odessa as well. As I understand, this brigade has few battalions, maybe few of them is located in Odessa area, and some of them were sent to the Siversk, Soledar, Bakhmut area to reinforce the Ukrainian forces that located in this area. There was a lot of other attacks, few depots were destroyed, some harpoon system were destroyed, and so on. Few headquarters were destroyed, but if we're talking about numbers among the soldiers and armored vehicles, there were no more updates from the Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation. Now let's take a look at the Russian sources map, this one. Today we got few important updates on this map. The first one is near Seversk, and as you can see, there is some kind of question, full exit, and the question mark in this area. Today we got more and more updates and reports that the Ukrainians are leaving Seversk. They stopped bringing more reinforcement to this area. Furthermore, the Russians are saying that few days in a row they saw how the Ukrainians were leaving this area using some vehicles and so on, but starting today they see that this town is not empty. There are still Ukrainian forces, but according to their intelligence, they see that they don't see any movements to this town. No reinforcement, no supply, no ammunition, nothing. So that's why they're saying, or maybe they're thinking, that the Ukrainians decided to leave Seversk in the very near future. Another important update about Berestova, this one. According to the Russian sources, this town is under the Russians, under their control. We got this update somewhere at noon. Few hours later, we got another update, and according to that update, the Russians were saying that there are no more Ukrainians in this town, in Berestova. This town is already reduced to ruins. It's like just one big ruin on the battlefield. And the thing is that Ukrainians don't give the Russians any chances to establish their position there. So there are Russian forces, but because of the fact that Ukrainians are shelling this town heavily, the Russians don't have possibility to fortify themselves in this area, to build some trenches and so on, but it's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of question, are they able to establish control over this town or not. So I believe that maybe by tomorrow we're going to see that the entire control of this town, and that the Russians would be able to establish some fortification there and continue their offensive operation from this area. If we're talking about any other areas, there is no more updates about the territory expansion. No, there is one important update, that some Russian sources are saying that the Russians have established control over Veselaya Dolina, this one, or at least there are very heavy clashes there right now. As you can see, Veselaya Dolina is very close to Bakhmut. Let's take a look at the West sources map. I have already updated this map according to these last updates we just discussed. Town Grigorievka is on the Russians. We discussed this many times. If you take a look at the Russian sources map, you're going to see that they mark this town as under their control totally. Then Sporna was taken by the Russians a few weeks ago. Today we got report that they took control over Berestova. They haven't built some fortification there, but there are no more Ukrainians, and they're doing some clearing of this town, and they're trying to establish some stable position in this town. If we're talking about Charlie Group, there is no changes. The Ukrainians are still in Belogorovka, Yakovlivka and Soledar. Another important update came from this area, from the area between Novokamyanka, Pokrovskaya, Klinovo, Veselaya Dolina. Yesterday we discussed that the Russians took the south of Pokrovskaya, this town, and today we got update from the same sources who told that the Russians took control over Veselaya. The same sources told that the Russians took control over Pokrovskaya, over entire town. So I have updated this map according to this report, but it might be some kind of speculation, or at least this area, if we're talking about Veselaya Dolina and the north part of Pokrovskaya, may be still in the gray zone. But if we're talking about Klinovo, about the south part of Pokrovskaya, and about Novokamenka, Strypovka, this area is on the Russians. So I must say that I believe that also we're going to see in a day or two that all this entire area is going to collapse and is going to become as a part of the Russian control area. Furthermore, about the south, there were no more updates about Novoluganska. You remember that yesterday there was some report that the Russians established control at least over half of Novoluganska, about the south part. The Lomitna is on the Russians. It was on the Russians for a very long time. So I keep this update as is. Maybe the Russians were pushed back from this area. We didn't have any report about this, but I suppose that this town or in the gray zone or is already under the Russians. So let's wait a little bit, 1 or 2 days. I'm sure that we're going to see the real picture on this front line. Now let's talk about this progress, about the possibilities, the Russian possibilities in this area. Of course, if the Russians are able to, if they did establish control over Berestova, and if they are able to build some fortifications here, some bridgehead to start their offensive operation against the Charlie Group, I suppose that because of the fact that Berestova is under control, now they are able to attack Belogorovka from the back. Furthermore, they are able to establish any fire control over the area between Veselaya and Belogorovka, and the forces, Ukrainian forces located in Belogorovka, now is in a very big trouble, because the only one way to evacuate from this area is through Yakovlivka, and as you can see, this road is under fire control. I'm not sure that there are a lot of forces in Belogorovka. I suppose that there are like maybe half 50 soldiers or something like this. They will find a solution how to evacuate, but I suppose that we're going to see this very soon. There are still very heavy clashes in Yakovlivka. We start receiving big updates, a lot of updates from Yakovlivka, we can say this week, but this town is still under the Ukrainians. And to be more specific, it's the Ukrainians are still able to control Yakovlivka because of these fields. They still have possibility to reinforce this area. There are a lot of local roads among the trees lines and so on. So this town is still holds They still keep this town, so I'm sure that it will take time for the Russians to establish entire control over this area. Now let's talk about Soledar. There were no more updates. The only important update that the Russians destroyed few headquarters, few depots in this area. So the forces who protect this area becomes more and more difficult to hold these positions. Now let's talk about the south, about the establishing control over Veselaya Dolina. We understand that, of course, for the Russians, the main goal is not to start offensive operations towards Bakhmut from the south, from Veselaya Dolina, because there is no bridgehead in this area. If you take a look at this map, you're gonna see that this Bakhmut, this Veselaya Dolina, there is no place to start the offensive operation. There are a few big buildings like this. They are able to, there are forests around this farm, we can say. Yes, they have possibility to establish some fortification, some bridgehead, just with one purpose, to establish fire control over this road, because this is the only road that supports Zaitsevo and Vershina, these two towns. And of course, by taking Veselaya Dolina, the Russians are planning to encircle Zaitsevo and Vershina and to start offensive operation against this area. Because and the main idea of taking this area, of course, to increase and develop their bridgehead on the south from Bakhmut. Because from this bridgehead, they will be able to start their offensive operation towards Kadima. Because as you can see, Kadima also has just one supply road, the TO of 0513 road that moves from Bakhmut. And by taking, for example, Veselaya Dolina, Zaitsevo, Vershina, this road is going to be under fire control as well. And that means that the Ukrainians won't be able to supply Kadima anymore. Of course, they will be able to use some local roads from the south, from Toretsk, from Bandarivka, using the south. But this area is also under fire control. So as you can see, the Russians want to short the front line on the south by taking all this down, like Ugledarskaya power plant, Semigorye, Kadema, Zaitsevo, Vershina, Veselaya Dolina. This area is protected by the most powerful and forces that located in Bakhmut area. Of course, they are very damaged, those forces, but as you can see, according to this map, there is 13th Mechanized Brigade, there is 72nd Mechanized Brigade, there is 108th Mountain Battalion, 10th Mountain Brigade, there is Right Sector, the National Battalion. So as you can see, there are forces. There are forces who has weapon, who has vehicles, trucks, who has tanks, and so on. So it's not very easy. Another important update from Bakhmut, from this area, is that Wagners are coming back. If you remember, a few days ago, Putin told that because of the fact that the Russians managed to take Lysychansk very fast, he ordered to give some rest for the Russians who were involved in this battle. Now, we talk a lot about these words, and today I got report that Wagners, who was fighting in this area, in the area between Popasna and Bakhmut, in this area, he was talking about them. He sent those guys to have some rest, to reinforce, and it was around 2.5 weeks ago. And if you remember, we used to talk about Wagners a lot in this area, but I mentioned just today, I mentioned today that we haven't spoken about Wagner for a very long time. So it explains everything, that these storm brigades, these storm forces, because Wagner, their main job is to storm such towns like Popasna, like Bakhmut, like all these fortifications. They left this area for some rest. And now they're coming back. So I suppose that very soon we are going to see fresh, fully blooded Wagner forces. And it's not very good for the Ukrainians because they're very professional. And I'm sure that they are able to complete the story on the south of Bakhmut. Take a look at the Russian sources map. There are some updates about Apollosis, about some shelling and so on. But today we got another important update from the United Kingdom intelligence. They told that they gave some information to the Ukrainians, and they gave the Ukrainians their vision of the further Russian steps. And according to their vision, the Russians, their main goal, of course, first of all, is to establish control over this area. Let's update this map just to give you understanding what the Russians are planning to do according to United Kingdom intelligence. So, as you can see, this is the area that the Russians are going to establish control over during the next few weeks, maybe days or so on. And according to the United Kingdom intelligence, the Russians are not planning to start any offensive operations towards Konstantinovka, Druzhevka, Kramatorsk, or Slaviansk. They're not planning to do nothing that, as we can see today, that the Russians are storming in front Seversk or Bakhmut. According to the United Kingdom intelligence, as soon as the Russians reach this line, they're going to stop on the east side, we can say, from Slaviansk, Kramatorsk. As soon as they are able to establish control over this territory, the main goal, the main objective of these forces is to fix the Ukrainians in these towns. So they will be able to bring their forces, their artillery forces, their storm forces, their tank brigades, and so on. And using these forces, the main idea is to fix Ukrainians all along the front line. In all these towns, not to give them even a chance to leave this town or to move from this area and so on. And as soon as they do this, according to the United Kingdom intelligence, the next step the Russians are planning to do is to start offensive operation towards Barvenkovo from the north and from Avdiivka towards Pokrovsk on the south. So it will be some kind of two directions from the north and the south. And after that, they will try to meet somewhere in the middle. So, according to the United Kingdom intelligence, the Russians are not planning to storm the forces in Slaviansk, Kramatorsk, and on this line, it's like we can call Zaluzhny defense line. They're planning to encircle these forces. So that's why they need first to fix them, because if the Russians are if they try to start this offensive operation right now, like to encircle this, the Ukrainian forces will be very flexible, mobile. They will be able to move from one side to another side. But as soon as the Russians reach this line, they will be able to fix every forces in this town, because if these forces from Kramatorsk, Slaviansk will decide to stop the Russians' movement from the north and from the south, that means that they will have to reduce their defense on the east, and the Russians will be able to attack these towns. So they want to do something like a fork. So they will have to decide what to do, or to evacuate from this area. We understand, because if the Russians are able to take control over Barvinkovo, so let's say it's not, this encirclement is operation not of one day, of course, it will take months, maybe months, maybe 2, maybe weeks, who knows, but I think that it will take not less than a month. So if the Russians are able to establish control of Barvenkovo on the north, and if the Russians are able to break through Avdiivka and to attack this Pokrovsk, the Ukrainians will understand that something goes wrong. And that time they will start to do something, or the entire evacuation from this area, or they will try to stop the Russians on the north or on the south. So this is maybe the possible upcoming operation in the next few months, because I'm sure that the Russians are able to reach this line not earlier than in 3 or 4 weeks, because that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work to establish control over Seversk, to encircle Bakhmut. And if we're talking about the months, that means that just by the end of August, the Russians will be able to reach this line. And to encircle this area, they need at least another month, or maybe even 2, because there are a lot of big distance. And if we're talking about this, that means that the Russians will be able to encircle these 70,000 soldiers just by November or October or something like this. Now let's talk about the Ukrainians' plans about the south. Of course, they understand that if they want to stop the Russians, if they want to prevent this encirclement, they need to start their own offensive operation, which will force the Russians to move their forces from Donbas occupation towards the south. And of course, to do this, they need to do just 3 things. To be more precise, first, they need to destroy this dam and the bridge on this dam. It's the first thing they need to do. The second thing they need to do to destroy this railroad bridge that connects big land or the area south of Kherson area with Kherson. And the third thing they need to do to destroy the third bridge. As soon as they do this, then they will be able to start their offensive operation, and to be more precise, they will be able to establish control over these fields. Why do I think that the Ukrainians first will try to establish control over these fields? Because today I got a very interesting report from Russian intelligence that according to the global vision, global scope, global understanding of the situation, the Ukrainians have three goals, three very big goals they need to achieve. The first one is to release and to return intact control over Kharkiv area. There is not much left, just like 30%, and they were pretty effective during the previous period. So it's one goal, to liberate, to return control over entire Kharkiv area. The second global goal they need is to establish control over Kherson area, this one. And the third goal, third big victory the Ukrainians supposed may bring them a lot of benefit, is to return control over Energodar. And if we're talking about Energodar, it's the biggest nuclear power plant in the world, in the Europe. So by taking this bridgehead, they will be able at least to get closer to these two achievements, like returning control over Kherson district, at least this part, and by taking control over this bank of the river, they will be able to start some crossing of the river and some offensive operation towards Energodar and towards this power plant. By the way, if we're talking about this power plant, today there was some kind of drone attack towards this area. As I know, 11 people were wounded during this attack. And it's very dangerous attack because it's a nuclear power plant. Everything might happen there. And the third thing is that if you take a look at this map, you're going to see this icon showing that the cross this road, this bridge, is not a very safe thing. There was a lot of pictures and video from this area. The Ukrainians did a lot of damage to this bridge. You are still able to use this bridge. There are a lot of it's like Switzerland cheese right now. And as we can see, the Ukrainians during the previous week were trying to destroy this dam. There was first attack against this depot. They would try to destroy the Salter-Petro. Then they attacked this dam. Now they're attacking this bridge. And according to the Russian sources, they are saying that the Ukrainians don't want to destroy the dam because it's very dangerous and it may cause a lot of problems as for the Ukrainians and as the Russians as well. So that's why they asked the United States of America to bring them new rockets or new missiles, and the US promised them, and these rockets are able to destroy these railroads without damaging the dam. And as you know, today we got a report that the US are planning to bring more, to be more precise, 4 new HIMARS systems. As I understand, maybe with these 4 new HIMARS systems, they will bring new missiles, and with these missiles, the Ukrainians will be able to destroy this railroad and this road without damaging the dam, at least without making critical damage to this dam. If we're talking about this bridge, we see already this icon, and I saw a lot of pictures, and I'm sure that if the Ukrainians continue doing the thing they're doing right now, in 2 weeks there would be no bridge at all. This bridge will be destroyed totally. And there will be one bridge, this railroad bridge. To tell the truth, I don't know about the situation with this bridge. Maybe this bridge is already destroyed, who knows, or damaged. But anyway, more and more sources, more and more experts are saying as soon as the Ukrainians are able to destroy or damage all these bridges, and to be more precise, are able to cut the connection between this side of Dnieper River with the big land, at this very moment the Ukrainians are going to start their offensive operation in the south. And to tell the truth, the Russians are very worried about this situation, at least if we are talking about their Telegram channels, their military experts and so on, because for now I can hear a lot of talks, a lot of warnings, a lot of discussions, and to tell the truth, I haven't heard any solution about this situation. Furthermore, the Ukrainians, to be successful in the south, they need to do two things. The first one, to destroy all these bridges, and the second thing that not allow the Ukrainians to be effective is that the Russians have a lot of vehicles on this side of the river who blocks Bayraktars in this area, who blocks the radio signals, everything that is necessary for the successful work of Bayraktars. So, as you understand, as soon as the Ukrainians are able to destroy all those systems as well, they will have some support from Bayraktars, and that very moment we are going to start their offensive operation in the south. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel remind you that we condemn any violence in Ukraine. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.